Welcome back to Must Know Machine Learning Concepts, and this is section 2. All right, this is the second section in a series about machine learning, and these are meant to be followed serially, and that's with an S, not a C. So if you haven't watched the first one, please go watch that one. The first lecture is also on YouTube. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into this one. So, what are our learning objectives here? What's the job outlook for machine learning engineers? I'm going to spoil it here for you and tell you it's great. Bad news. There's always bad news with good news. Seems to be how it works. There are no entry-level jobs, and I mean none. I promise. We're going to talk about the top shortcuts. What are some jobs that make it easier for you to find jobs as machine learning engineers? There is only one or two. We're going to look at real job posts so you understand what companies are looking for, not what some tool said on Quora or Reddit. We're going to talk about your path and how to decide what your path is going forward. For most people, it's simple. We're going to talk about the relevancy of STEM degrees and why they are not relevant. We're going to talk about the DA versus the ML, or the data scientist, that should be an S, versus the machine learning engineer. Maybe that should be an E. Messed up this slide, didn't I? All right, so that's what we're going to tackle in this lesson, or in this section 2. The MLE is one of the top jobs on earth. Yes, it is. That's good news for those of us who want to be machine learning engineers. If you head to Indeed.com, this is my, so you go to Indeed.com, so go there, right? This is my favorite job board. And if you type in Indeed.com, top jobs of 2023, you will see at number 8, the machine learning engineer. You will also see at number 2 is the data engineer. The data engineer. And there is not a lot of difference between machine learning engineers and data engineers. Almost all machine learning is data-centric. Almost all machine learning, around, I'm going to say 90% or more, is working with data equals data. The modeling is easy part, and it's been democratized. All right, so lots of jobs. Head to Indeed.com. This is a site I use to find jobs also. So if you're looking to post your resume, this is a place to go. Now, there are lots of other sites, and you can go to other sites if you want to, but this is the one I use, and it seems to do very well for me. All right, so it's city number 8. That's good news. It's one of the top jobs in the world. The University of Texas predicts 500,000 open jobs by 2025. This looks to be pretty accurate because right now I think there are 350 open. So they look to be on the money. These jobs are not being filled. Why are they not being filled? Because of this technical debt. What does that mean? Technical debt means we can't find the people with the technical skills, tech, get it? Technical skills to do the job. Right? Technical skills aren't math and other nonsense. Plenty of math people out there. Doesn't mean they can be machine learning engineers. Technical debt is working with SQL. It's working with relational databases. It's working with programming languages, right? It's knowing cloud, knowing which clouds, not could, clouds. Knowing cloud technology. It's knowing all the technology associated with being a MLE, machine learning engineer in the real world. That's why the jobs continue to pile up. That's why there are 350 open right now, right? They're not being filled because they can't find anyone. And this is a very high-profile role, so that means they're not going to put junior people in these roles. They're not going to put people right out of college in these roles. It's simply not going to happen. You would not survive. So in the real world, entry level means 1 to 2 years of experience. All right, so there are no entry-level jobs in machine learning. And there are not that many in any of the top data roles, to be quite honest. I've seen very few entry-level roles in data engineering. right? So in the real world, when you see 1 to 2 years of experience, that really is entry level. That's what we mean. We don't mean right out of college. That's no experience, no level. Let's move on. Let's look at some job posts. And these are real world jobs. These are live jobs, right? So, senior applied machine learning scientist. Well, apparently Granger doesn't know what the titles are in the real world. They're kind of messed up. So applied's fine. Applied means real world, right? That means real world. Machine learning, we're not scientists. I don't know why they say that. We'll fix it for them. Engineers. So senior applied machine learning engineer. What's it say down here for skills, right? What's the top skill? I had it circled. SQL, right? Oh, they want you to know machine learning. Well, of course, you're going to need to know machine learning. That goes without saying. But they put the number one skill over here. On Indeed, the number one skills are going to be read from left to right. All right, so this is the number one skill they want. All right. Let's look at another job. Here's another job post for a faker scientist when they really want a MLE, a machine learning engineer, at Publix. If you live in the South, this is a great supermarket chain. What are they looking for? Oh, look at that. It's old databases and no SQL. They want number one, SQL, number two, databases, and number three, they want no SQL. That's interesting because they don't even say what skills they want from a machine learning perspective, do they? They tell you what number one and number two are SQL and databases, and that should tell you something. That should give you immediate insight into this job. Now, we've only looked at 2 job posts, but I think you're going to see a few similarities here. Let's look at another one. So here's a senior cognitive machine learning professional at Humana. All right, there's a pretty big, I think our healthcare company, right? Senior cognitive, yeah. How about just senior machine learning professional? That's fine. Professional is fine, but we really call them engineers. If you work for Humana, please let them know. All right, so they're looking for a senior machine learning engineer. They don't even have machine learning skills listed at all. They want, number one, SQL, number two, AWS, and number three, Azure. Why? Why would they put that? Why wouldn't they put over here, I don't know, scikit-learn or pandas? Or how about Python? Why wouldn't they list that, right? Because these skills are far more important than these are, right? You need to be able to work with the data. You need to be able to extract this data from these databases. You need to be able to build the models in the cloud, right? These are cloud vendors. He's number 1 and 2, but they're really even. And then the big 3, the last big 3 is Google, right? GCP, Google Cloud Platform. Those are the big 3 in terms of cloud providers. So you need SQL to extract databases that are probably on AWS and Azure. What do we see here? Education and certificate, bachelor's degree. Okay, I got one of those. Why don't they say bachelor's in stats? Why don't they say bachelor's in math? Interesting, isn't it? Moving on. What are shortcut roles? What are some roles out there that allow you to move more quickly into your job as a machine learning engineer, if that's the direction you want to go? Well, the data roles, right? If we just saw jobs and the number one skill was SQL, that's data. What that means, when you see SQL, think data. All right, so who are some people that work with data? DBAs, database administrators. These guys work with data. How about data analysts? Data analysts. Yep, they work with data also. This data analyst is the only entry level data role I know of. It's entry level. How about DEs? Data engineers. These guys work with data all the time. They build pipelines and work with data warehouses and move data around the organization. They're responsible for security and all the other good stuff. What about that? Yep. If you are a DE or a DBA, moving to a machine learning engineer is quite easy. Now, there's a little more involved if you're a DA, but it's still a great path to a role, to these role as an MLE or a machine learning engineer. So why would a DBA, who is already a top technical role, or a data engineer, another top technical role, these guys make tons of money, why'd you want to move to an MLE? Well, because right now, these guys make an insane amount of money. We up here, the DBAs and the data engineers, we make a lot of money. Down here, we're talking about insane salaries right now. And I don't see that changing within the next 5 to 10 years. It's supply and demand, right? We can't get these people. We can't get data professionals that know machine learning. And as long as that trend continues, what's going to happen? We're going to pay these people a lot more. Now, another shortcut role, and I mentioned this a lot, are programmers. But notice I put an asterisk there. Well, why did I put an asterisk there? Because you can know all the Python you want, and you can be a fantastic Python programmer. But if you don't know, that's what I'm going to say, you won't be getting a job in machine learning. This, as we've seen before in those roles previously, is the number one skill. Why? Because, as we mentioned in the previous section, and in this section also, this is where companies have all their data right now, right? And it's messy. Messy means it's filled with holes, and the tables aren't necessarily related correctly, and it's just ugly. And you have to go in here, look at these tables within the databases. You then have to write all the code to join these and extract the data you need for your model. Right? Data for your model. And as I mentioned previously, you will find that you haven't done this, this is not really fun. This is a ton of work. All right. So the programmer is a great role on one condition. You have heavy SQL. If you're a programmer and you don't have heavy SQL, then it's not a shortcut role. Not a shortcut role. If you don't have SQL, you won't be working in applied machine learning. I just don't know any other way to say that. So the path, what's your path? Let's answer that easily. Are you in a data-related role? Are you a data analyst? Are you a DBA? Are you a data engineer? When we talk about, are you a SQL dev? Are you one of these people? If you are, then you're in a shortcut role. And your path to machine learning is much easier. If you're in one of these roles and you have heavy SQL and you can get past the SQL interview, then you should start learning machine learning. And that's why I created LogicBot, actually, for people who were in the role and wanted to learn machine learning. And this is where you would learn Python. And then this is where you would learn all the libraries, the libs. And then this is where you would learn basic data cleansing. Data cleansing, which is really applied statistics. All right, these are ML. This is ML related stuff. But it does no good to learn all this now if you aren't in a data role. Why? Because you're never going to get a job. It's not going to happen. All right. So your path, are you in a data role? All right. So if you're not, you're going to have to get in one. Now, getting in a DBA role or a data engineering role or a SQL dev role is also almost impossible, right? These aren't newbie roles. The only newbie role I know of is the data analyst role. So if you think you know another newbie role, then show it to me and I'll go look on Indeed and some other job sites and we'll look for entry-level jobs there or jobs that require no experience for a lot of you who are graduating college. However, I can tell you after 30 years of doing this, this guy is the only entry-level role. So this is probably the only approach you really have. All right. Are you on a data-related role? If not, get in one. If you are, then you can start learning machine learning. Start learning Python, the libraries, data cleansing. You're going to really focus on data cleansing because that's about 80% of the work of a machine learning engineer. Do you have a 4-year degree? I don't know why. I don't know why companies do this, but they use a bachelor's degree, a BS, or a 4-year degree at some level as a filter for these roles. All right, I don't know why. I don't know. They don't care what the degree's in. They're not looking for STEM degrees. I promise. We don't care about STEM degrees. They care, do you have a 4-year degree? Earlier, we saw a job post where it said bachelor's degree, and then that's all it had. Remember? It didn't say STEM degree, math. It didn't say anything about science or engineering or anything. It said you have a degree. My degree's in psychology. Some of the best engineers that I've worked with have degrees that are all over the map. 2 of them actually have psychology degrees. However, it's not required that you have degrees in statistics or any math in order to be a machine learning engineer, or for that matter, any of these other roles like the DBA or the data engineer. We don't care. We don't care about degrees. It's really in the real world about, do you have this? Companies need skills. I can't really spell it today. SKILLS. Do you have the skills they need in order to do the job? And if you do, they're going to pay you. And if you don't, they're not going to pay you. The DS versus the MLE. What's the difference? The data scientists, or I call them faker scientists. All right, so this is really important. So it's really important. So I did a video called The Unimaginable Failing of Data Science in the Real World, or something like that. So if you have a minute, go look that video up and watch it, and you will see this. You will see that in the real world, on all real world projects right now, outside of big tech, the failure rate for machine learning is at 96%. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that, does it? 96% failure rate for real world models. So why is that? Why is that so high? Well, there are a lot of reasons. Some of the fault certainly lies with the companies. They have no idea what AI is. They hire one of these guys and expect them to do magic, and no magic happens. One of the other problems, and it's a big problem, is that they hire these faker scientists out of college with PhDs and all the kinds of worthless master's degrees. And they've never worked with real data. And working with real data is very, very difficult. So a data scientist out of college, he's got great math skills, knows all the math behind the models. From academia, they've got PhDs or master's degrees. Little real-world experience. Actually, most of them have no real-world experience. A data scientist in the real world is really nothing more than a statistician. All right, so what about the MLE? Most machine learning engineers have heavy data skills. The ones I know all came from the real world. They were BI professionals or other data professionals before wading into the machine learning engineering space. They already know how to do the hard part, extract the data, right? Many were former data professionals, like I just mentioned, and many of them, the ones I know, had BI experience. And BI, if you don't know, stands for business intelligence. And it's really almost identical to machine learning. Machine learning. So the only difference is, in machine learning, the output of all machine learning projects is a model. An M for model. You take data, right? Fresh data, and you pass it to this model, and it gives you an output. And this can be done in real time. RT, we'll call it real time. All right. And BI, right? And BI over here, it's up to the BI developer or the BI engineer or whatever the role is called now to do the investigating of the data and then produce the output and place it somewhere that the business or the business professionals can access it, right? This is not real time, right? This has a lag to it. This is real time, right? The data can go into the machine learning model. The machine learning model can what? Make a what? Pred. All machine learning models make predictions. So it can make you, so the data goes into the model, it can make a prediction and shoot you an output automatically. Right? So the way of the world right now is going the machine learning route. And BI is kind of dying. Still there. Still a lot of jobs for BI professionals. You can look it up on Indeed again. Go to Indeed and do a search for BI experience and see what comes up. See how many jobs come up. What do we learn? The job outlook is great. And it is. The jobs are going to keep going up. I'll promise they're going to keep going up. Oh, look at that arrow. That is horrific. Let's do another arrow. Better. And they will continue to keep going up for, I'm going to guess, well after I'm retired in 20 or 30 years. Why? Because people don't understand how difficult the role is, and there's nothing on the horizon that's going to make it easier. All right, so great news. If you really want to put into work, the job outlook for the MLE, well, actually for all data roles, is fantastic. The salaries are only going to grow. The bad news is, as we've mentioned, there are no entry-level jobs. So you don't even have to ask me. If you aren't in a data role, right, and you don't have SQL, and SQL is really the big one. If you don't have SQL skills or experience, you're not going to get a job in machine learning. It's not going to happen. All right, so we talked about the top shortcuts or the data roles. We talked about the DBA. We didn't talk about the SQL developer, but that is also a shortcut role. And we talked about the easiest, or actually the only entry-level role that I know of, is the data analyst. All right. We looked at some job posts, and what do we see? We saw the bad word again for most people. SQL. You got to have SQL skills. If you go to Indeed or your favorite job board and you look at the number of job posts for MLEs, or you can do it for faker scientists. I call them faker scientists, right? F, that's an F. Looks like an R, doesn't it? Come on. Or faker scientists, right? You will see that around 95% or more have the bad word in it. SQL for their job posts, for their requirements for their machine learning engineers. All right? That's a big number. All right? Your path is easy. Are you in a data role? If not, you need to be in a data role. If you don't have data skills, then it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get a job in machine learning. STEM, don't care. We don't care about degrees. For whatever reason, as long as you have a degree, that's all that counts. They put a check mark beside and says, this guy has a degree or this lady has a degree. We're moving on to the next skill. We're moving on to our next requirement. All right. DAs, the statisticians, stats guys. MLs, doing the work. Doing the work. The data cleansing and the extracting the data from the relational databases or the data stores. All right. This is the future. This role is dead. You can go to Indeed's top jobs and do your search again, and you will see that the data engineer is at number 2. I think we saw the MLE, right, was at number 8. Go find data scientist. Data scientist. Go find the data scientist on that. Where is he? He was number 1 on that list in 2016. Why don't you tell me where he is in 2023? Or I can just save you the hassle. He's not on the list. And he's not on the list for a reason. The role is dead. Now, you don't have to like it, but no one cares. It's the way it is. Thanks for watching this section 2 on applied machine learning.